Hi, my name is Susanna Freedman and I'm from Brand Insiders. I've worked with a lot of brands over the last sort of 20 years of my experience, and it's been varied, completely cross-sectoral, and businesses big and small. And I think you enjoy the experience for lots of different reasons. Mostly it's about being rewarding, and I think businesses like AG Bar that we work with to try and define their brand in terms of its behaviours and their values and really having quite a unique culture that they were looking to celebrate. It's hugely rewarding to see that come to life through the work that we did. But then also working with big global businesses that have got pretty complex issues and crossing lots of cultures across different continents, like JLL or Grant Thornton or TT Electronics was a great experience because you get to know what's going on in terms of the strategy at the centre of the business, but also get exposure to what's happening at the furthest corners of the business who are closest to the customers. So trying to build a brand that helps work for everybody, again, is hugely rewarding. But then also where you've got long-term relationships. We've been working with Johnson Carmichael for almost 10 years, and I think helping them to build their brand and build clarity into their brand and seeing the business absolutely embrace it and it, really contributing to their success is very rewarding. I tend to define brand as, or the discipline of branding as the pursuit of singularity. In that if you're trying to identify what's true, what's compelling and different about your brand, you can then employ that as the lens by which you align your product and service, align the behaviours of your organisation, align the environment, both virtual and physical, and also the communications, which people tend to think of first. But I think it's really one part of these four particular areas, and the brand is the lens that you look through those. Wally Oland's, I think, said that the power of a brand is a curious mix of how it performs functionally and impacts emotionally. And I think that's where you can see brand absolutely must help to be the lens to align your product and service and the behaviours of your organisation, as well as the environment it exists in and your communications. Brand is not a static identity. It exists in the hearts and minds of its different audiences, whether that's your employees, your customers, investors, or various stakeholders that interact with your brand every day. And a brand needs to be continually invested in it. There needs to be an ongoing commitment to make sure that you're highlighting who you are and what you do, but importantly, why that matters or why that should matter to the people that need to know you. Your communications and how you curate your stories is absolutely critical to making sure that you continue to sustain your brand. It does take commitment, it does take ongoing investment, but it's absolutely critical to remind all of your stakeholders who you are, what you do, and importantly, why it matters and why they should care. Brand is your reputation. It is the known and trusted experience, effectively, that your stakeholders know you by. And for it to be successful, it needs to be protected. There needs to be continual investment in maintaining your brand, in reinforcing it, and continually enhancing it, because the world changes and your business changes. There's nothing more that we're seeing constantly than this, requirement for being agile and responsive. And with that, your brand must flex. You need to take a holistic view. So to make sure that you remain relevant, the focus on managing those communications of your brand are critical. I think when we're defining a brand, and that might be at the very beginning, but most often there's somewhere on the journey and there's been a significant change, whether that's leadership or the market's changed or something has been disrupted in the business that needs some refocusing. And we will always start with some level of research consultation, so we absolutely understand the strategy and we understand from all stakeholders, including employees, what the status quo of the business is, where there's challenges, what their goals are, where there might be blockers. And in doing that, it helps us to clearly define their purpose, why they exist, which gives that much stronger emotional quality to a brand that ultimately is what connects it with people, and brands are about people, businesses are people. And in order to communicate a brand, I think, authentically, it needs to be harnessed by those qualities. It's not something we can make up. It needs to come from the ground up, and we need to have real proof points, real stories that stand behind it, that can be used across communications platform.